Let's talk about combos. Combos are probably one of the most understood concepts in fighting games. One player uses a series of moves in a specific order to take a bunch of the enemy's health away from them. Combos are an extremely broad topic for fighting games. You have link-based and cancel-based combos. You have your bread and butter easy baby mode combos and your optimal character-specific combos that only work in this quadrant of the screen. You have your matcher-friendly auto combos where a little fetus could still take a quarter of your health, to the extremely specific timing-dependent bread and butters that make you feel like maybe this game shouldn't have delay-based netcode. But there's one type of combo that's more infamous and discussed than any other type of combo. One that both creates immense amounts of hyped and unknowable, unconquerable fear. The discovery of these combos divide communities and create flame wars between the believers and the rejectors. You probably clicked on this video because you're either a believer of these type of combos make the game better, or they ruin the game for everybody. I'm of course talking about the one, the only, Touch of Death. Now, I have something that I need to admit to all of you. I think Touch of Deaths are pretty cool. Don't go to the comment section yet! This can be a bit of a touchy topic for some players in games, and a lot of the time people point to them as why they can't get into games. I'm going to address this as well because sometimes it has merits, but we need to explore why that is. But some of you may be sitting there confused on what I'm talking about, so let's make some definitions. A Touch of Death combo is a combo in which a player kills the enemy with a single combo, so the enemy is not able to play after getting touched. This has a large overlap with infinite combos in which a player is able to do a never-ending combo, with the only thing that forces the combo to stop is the enemy dies or the timer runs out. This bit isn't official terminology, but I generally call the combos that don't kill timer scam combos, as you're forcing the enemy to lose the round by running out of time instead of health. This isn't to be confused with instant kills, which is a single move that causes the enemy to lose all of their health. Casual fighting game fans probably know of instant kills more because they're so fucking cool! Yeah! Arxis, put them back in Strive, thank you. But there's probably something that you're going to be very keen to point out. If somebody can kill you in one combo, how is that fair to the other guy? Like, the moment that they get hit, oh well, GG, shake my hand, go next, good game, you did really fucking good there, kid. Like, what's the difference between this and, oh, I don't know, one-turn kills in Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, in a fighting game, you have to win or lose the neutral game in order to get a combo started. Apart from one version of Street Fighter 2 and probably some cracked Kasuge games that I'm sure you'll all let me know about in the comment section, no fighting game has a Touch of Death that can be executed from round start that can't be countered in some way. I.e. the first hit is blocked or avoided, or the throw is teched or avoided. In Yu-Gi-Oh, if your enemy draws the correct cards and you don't have any way to counter, damn, GG's goes next. Like, seriously, this dude doesn't get to play as you just put down a bunch of cards and they turn their life points into dust. What's the main difference between these two? Well, in the card game, you don't get to play at all.
Actually, you can use hand traps to stop your opponent from killing your first turn.
What if I don't pull them? There's a large factor in this exchange that needs to be addressed, and it's the fact that a lot of this is luck-based. Did your opponent pull the correct cards to kill you before you could play anything? Did you not pull any hand traps to stop them? Well, that's GG then. Let's go next. Also, I'm probably never going to get a chance to talk about this on the channel again, but why does the new Yu-Gi-Oh game have music that goes so fucking hard?
This is music for a fucking card game.
Anyway, fighting games are a genre that have very little to literally zero luck factor. In older games, there are things like the amount of stun damage taken that are slightly randomized that lead to, unfortunate situations, but most modern fighting games generally keep random factors to a minimum, and if they are in the game, they're generally reserved for one character that changes the battle slightly with random effect, and being the best damn doctor on this side of the planet. Even then, the random elements are kept to a minimum. Faust only gets to throw from a small pool of item, and as the games go on, they don't become very useful. Outside of these niche exceptions though, there's generally no luck in a standard fight, as long as the game is concerned. So, you're both starting on even footing. If you get opened up and hit with a Touch of Death, that's generally on you and not the game. But even if they're fair, they generally don't feel it. Like, you get opened up once and that's it, it's over. I say GG and go next. Well, sometimes Yeah, but most modern games generally have some way to make it feel more fair. There's levels to Touch of Deaths. Most people will probably think of the pure Kosoge stuff. You get hit once by one random stray move and, well, that was a fun game. I'll see you guys next week. And, yeah, it's much harder to excuse these. It's a little bit ridiculous, but to be fair, you're generally going to have to specifically seek out these games. No one's really playing HNK without knowing quite a bit about fighting games to begin with. Maybe the exception to this is Street Fighter 2, but honestly, at that point, you're just asking to get flawed. Then we have the games where touch of deaths are pretty common, but they're either not as impactful to the match, or they require some sort of resource that may not always be available. Now, hold on. How can a combo that literally kills you without you being able to do anything about it not be impactful? Marvel, baby. Versus games have this really cool benefit of having you play more than one character, and since you're playing more than one character, you have more than one health bar to go through. So if the game is 3v3, you technically have 3 health bars that you can use. With more health bars, having the entirety of one just completely melted for a mistake stings less than it just being your only health bar. Most versus games have extremely high damage for this exact reason, and you can generally divide them up into categories depending on how many times you need to touch your enemy in order to kill their character. If your combos do a third of the enemy's health every time you hit them, you have to touch them 3 times in order to kill them. This makes the game a 3-touch game. If you do half, it's a 2-touch game, and of course, if you're throwing touch of deaths out like they're going out of style, it's a 1-touch game. These touches are also relative to a player's skill. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid is a 1-touch game for most people. Doesn't mean it is for me, though. There's also a possibility that you won't always be able to do a touch of death due to specific factors. Both Dragon Ball FighterZ and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 have a resource that increases the damage output of characters, as well as some other nerd stuff like recovering blue health. Who cares about that? These mechanics are known as Sparking Blast and X Factor, respectively. A lot of the touch of deaths in this game mean spending this one-time resource in order to get enough damage for the combo in order to get it to kill, which is pretty wasteful. It may also be the fact that you need both of your characters alive to use their assists in the combo to get extensions and more damage, and if one of them is dead, then they're not going to help you. That being said, touch of deaths are pretty common in versus games, to the point of depending on how many characters you kill in a combo, they have different names. Just one, that's a standard touch of death. 2 people, oh well, that's a happy birthday, get the cake out and the party hats, we got a birthday boy. Oh, 3? Well, look at the date, it's fucking Christmas. Hope Santa doesn't fall down the chimney and die like this clown is about to. Now, you may look at the Merry Christmas and be like, okay, this is really not fair. We just loop back around to the first problem. And I would like to point out that you can only hit the characters while they're active on screen. Meaning, to get this, you need to call these other characters out as assists. And if they just so happen to get hit, then the Merry Christmas can start. AKA, this is your fault. Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of my actions. The balance in these types of touch of deaths is the requirements that the games force you to meet in order to perform them. You can have combos that don't use up Sparking or X Factor with a little meter, but they're generally pretty hard to pull off consistently, meaning that they're just hype whenever you see them. But some games get even more specific with their TODs. For example, did you know that Guilty Gear Strive technically has a bunch of touch of deaths in it? Like, basically every character has a way to kill you in one touch, as long as you're playing Chip. So yeah, there's like this type of touch of death that I like to refer to as, yeah, nobody's ever landing this. Like, oh my god, guys, Giovanna is able to kill Chip. All you need to make sure is that the risk gauge is over 60 and that you're in the corner and you get a counter hit with a close slash while he's in the air. The easiest way to do that is after he uses Beta Blade. And then you do this combo if you have full meter and GG's, it's over, he's dead. This isn't going to happen though. The positioning has to be right, you have to crank their risk gauge up, and you need to hit a specific counter hit that's not likely going to connect. So what's the point of this? I mean, it's cool, I guess, but there's no reason to know about this. Though, I'll admit, it's a pretty good DP punish in the corner. But still, seeing this Chip get absolutely obliterated for their mistake is beautiful. If someone's getting hit with a touch of death in a modern game, then they generally must have done something extremely wrong. And that's the most beautiful thing about these combos. Seeing an extremely skilled player dumping everything they have into one combo to end the entire match is an extremely hype moment. While being on the receiving end of the touch of death can feel like shit for most of the time, it's generally your fault for getting opened up. Okay, but what about combos like this? Okay, yeah, that's, Yeah, that's rough, buddy, but most of the time this is a mistake by the developers and will be patched out of any game. Or it devolves into a Kasuga and suddenly I don't want to touch it. In the modern era of fighting game, touch of deaths are generally pretty rare, so seeing one during a match is a hype moment. I love watching someone's health bar just disappear because they didn't block the mix-up or made a silly mistake. It's a sight to behold, and seeing a crazy TOD can inspire you to pick up these games and play. They're frustrating sometimes, but you never get hit, you don't need to worry about them. So the moral of the story is block the mix-up!